Hello, friends. Today we will be doing another play of William Shakespeare, Othello. Play Othello has been written by William Shakespeare and it's a tragedy play. Probably it was written in 1603. Themes being racial prejudices, manipulation, jealousy. Now let's take a look at the important characters of the play. So, important characters are Othello, who is the protagonist of the play, Iago, Emilia is wife of Iago, Desdemona is lover of Othello, Cassio, an officer, and Roger Rigo. So these are the important characters of the play. Bollywood movie Omkara is an adaptation of this play itself, and I can tell you it's a good movie to watch. So, friends, now let us start with the summary of the play. At the beginning of the play, we get to see and there's an argument taking place between Rodrigo and Iago in the streets of Venice. Rodrigo was in love with Desdemona and Rodrigo was bribing Iago so that he can win Desdemona. But soon they learns that Desdemona had married Othello. This news came as a shock to Iago and Rodrigo, both of them. Iago always hated Othello. The major reason of his hatred towards Othello was because Othello had made Michael Cassio the lieutenant officer rather than Iago. Iago thought that he was more experienced than Michael Cassio. Cassio was less experienced than him, so he deserved the position better. But instead, Othello made Cassio the lieutenant. Iago and Rodrigo runs to Barbancio to tell him that Desdemona had married Othello. Barbancio, being the father of Desdemona, could not believe that his daughter has taken such a grave step. He hurries to Othello to make sure that what he was hearing was true. After this, the scene is shifted to Othello's lodging. There we see Cassio arrives before Othello with an urgent message from Duke. Duke had asked Othello for help to defend Turkish who was trying to invade Cyprus. Othello, without any delay, left to meet the Duke. After this, the scene is shifted to Othello's lodging. There we see Cassio arrives before Othello with an urgent message from Duke. When Othello reached the Senate, Barbancio also arrived there. Barbancio started claiming on Othello that he had mesmerized his daughter Desdemona with witchcraft, and he has forcefully got Desdemona marry him. When given chance to speak, Othello disregarded all the claims of Barbancio and said that Desdemona had fallen in love with him after hearing all his heroic stories. Desdemona was impressed with Othello with his bravery and courage, and that's why they had decided to get married. And he has done no witchcraft on Desdemona. When Desdemona is brought to Senate, she stands by Othello and declares her love for him. She claims that no witchcraft is done on her and she is under no pressure, but out of love she has married Othello. Barbancio was crestfallen to hear such words from his daughter's mouth and curses Othello and Desdemona both. Duke, on the other hand, accepts the marriage, asks of Othello to go to Cyprus in order to save Cyprus from Turkish invasion and also take Desdemona with himself. When Othello with his men reached Cyprus, got to know that ships of the Turkish people had damaged due to the storms, and now no invasion was possible on the Cyprus. After this, Othello made an announcement to his people. He declared that the evening would be celebrated in the name of safety of the Cyprus. When everybody leaves, Iago was caught by Roderigo, and Roderigo is hell-bent on getting Desdemona. He asks Iago if there is any chance for the breakage of marriage between Othello and Desdemona. Iago assures Roderigo that Desdemona will soon leave Othello when she will realize that he is no match to her. Iago now drives a plan in which he can trap Cassio. He planned to get Cassio drunk at the evening celebration and asked Roderigo to provoke a fight between him and Cassio. When the evening party begins, Roderigo does exactly as Iago has instructed him. Seeing Roderigo and Cassio fight, Governor Montano intervenes. He tries to stop the fight, but Cassio stabs him instead. Now, as the Montano laid wounded, Iago got a chance to defame Cassio. When Othello gets to know about all this, he was very angry with Cassio. He expected Cassio to be more responsible and duty-bound officer. Othello was unhappy and he instantly removed Othello off his position. And this became the first victory for Iago. Now Iago starts knitting a plan to trap Desdemona. Now Iago goes to Desdemona and says her that she should try to convince Othello to give Cassio back his position. Iago says that Cassio is innocent and he did not do whatever he did that evening on purpose. Therefore, Desdemona should convince Othello to give Cassio back his position. Iago then goes to Desdemona to say that he should meet Desdemona and ask her to convince Othello to give him back his position. Not knowing Iago's intention, Cassio did meet Desdemona and ask her to convince Othello to give him back his position. Then Desdemona assures Cassio that she will try her best to convince Othello. While Cassio was leaving the room of Desdemona after the conversation, Othello spotted him. By this time, Iago had started planting seeds of jealousy and an affair against Cassio in the mind of Othello. He started molding things in a way so that it would look like Desdemona and Cassio were in an affair. Now, when Othello goes to Desdemona, she starts making efforts to convince Othello that he should give Cassio back his position. Desdemona requesting for Cassio made Othello even more hate Cassio. We see that Iago's wife Emilia was working for Desdemona. One day, Iago asked Emilia to steal the hanky from Desdemona, which Othello had gifted her as a token of love. Iago wanted to use that hanky for evidence for affair between Desdemona and Cassio. He places the hanky in the room of Cassio and shows it to Othello. On seeing his hanky in Cassio's room, Othello did believe Iago and thought that his lady was unfaithful to him. He decided to take revenge. Othello, on meeting Desdemona, asks for the same hanky he had given to her. Desdemona looks for that hanky all around, but she could not find it. When she could not find the handkerchief, she again started to convince Othello about the Cassio's position. Desdemona's this behavior made Othello boil with anger. Iago says to Othello that he has a plan through which he can get Cassio confess his affair with Desdemona through his mouth only. He plans a meeting with Cassio and makes Othello hide behind so that he can barely hear something. When Cassio arrives, Iago asks Cassio about his affair with Bianca, who was a prostitute and used to often meet Cassio. But he makes things appear to Othello such that he was talking about Desdemona and Cassio was confessing about Desdemona, while it was Bianca about whom Cassio was talking. Now the Othello was convinced that the affair between the two was true. At night he goes to Desdemona and claims her to be a whore. Iago, on the other hand, now convinced Roderigo that he should kill Cassio so that when Desdemona is left by Othello, she should have no other option but Roderigo to come, to fall upon. Therefore, Roderigo must get Cassio out of his way. He convinces to kill Cassio. Roderigo was ready to kill Cassio and he was hiding. When Cassio arrives, he strikes on him, but instead Cassio wounds him. Out of anger, Othello had earlier ordered Iago to kill Cassio. So, on hearing all these loud noises, he did not react and instead thought that Iago had killed Cassio. When Cassio wounded Roderigo, he started shouting, and on hearing all these loud noises, Lodovico and Grazinio entered to see what was happening. Iago, on seeing them enter, he thought that Roderigo would now confess what his plan was, so instead he killed Roderigo so that his plan could not be revealed. Cassio was then taken to dress his wounds, and here on the other side, Othello goes to Desdemona, and while Desdemona was sleeping in her bed, he picks up a pillow and covers her face with so strength that she dies. Yes, Othello did brutally kill Desdemona. At the same time, Emilia arrives the bedchamber of Desdemona, and she was aghast to see that Othello has killed Desdemona. She could not believe her eyes. Emilia started asking Othello why he did so, and Othello explained that his wife was unfaithful to him, how Iago had showed the handkerchief given by him in Cassio's room. Emilia then clarifies Othello that handkerchief was given by Emilia to Iago when Iago was constantly asking her to steal that hanky. Emilia says that it must be the plan of Iago himself to create situations that can look like there exists an affair between Cassio and Desdemona. Emilia said that Desdemona was innocent and she had no affair with Cassio. Othello was shocked to realize his mistake, which could not be undone at any cost. Othello then runs to kill Iago, but as he is about to strike Iago brings forward Emilia and Emilia is killed instead. Iago runs away but is later caught and hanged. Othello, on the other hand, realizes his mistake and stabs himself to death. Cassio is only saved at the end of the play, and that's how this tragedy ends. Thank you, friends, for holding yourself till the end of the video. For more such interesting summaries, you can check my other videos. Till then, stay connected, keep learning.